In brightest day, in blackest night, this film is certainly not alright. Hey movie fans, welcome back to 5 Good Things, where I take a terrible or horrendous movie and find 5 good things about that movie. Today's film was a bit difficult, but I could definitely find at least some redeeming nuggets in the turd that is Green Lantern. This movie, oh boy. I saw this when it was in theaters and I was mildly entertained by it, but it didn't age particularly well. But to this day, I still won't say it's one of the worst superhero movies ever made. It's one of the most forgettable though, because it's just so by the numbers and meh. But there are 5 redeemable qualities in the Green Lantern movie. Kicking us off at number 5, we have the representation of Kilowog. Now, Kilowog is another one of the Green Lanterns. There's multiple Green Lanterns. There's Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, Sinestro for a bit, Kilowog. Kilowog is, in the film, the one guy that more or less is in charge with training the new Hal Jordan, played by Reynolds, Green Lantern, into becoming an actual Green Lantern. Kilowog is voiced by Michael Clark Duncan, the really big guy from Armageddon and Green Mile. I love Michael Clark Duncan, and I think he was the perfect voice for Kilowog. I don't know too much about the character of Kilowog, but after watching the Green Lantern movie and my limited knowledge of him, I wanted more of him because I was genuinely entertained by him, and my limited knowledge of the character of Kilowog, it was pretty accurate in a movie that wasn't really doing justice to a lot of the Green Lantern characters by and large. It was doing justice to Kilowog. He looked the part, he sounded the part, he acted the part. I wanted more Kilowog, and it was just very well done. At number 4, we have Blake Lively as Carol Ferris. Now, by and large, damsels in distress in superhero movies are meh at best, and at worst, they're Kirsten Dunst in the Spider-Man trilogy. Hooey. But in terms of damsels in distress, Blake Lively is probably in the upper echelon of she is actually competent, has relatively good chemistry with the main character in the film. It's not like they ended up getting married or anything. And she actually has one of the better scenes in the movie when Green Lantern comes to her and he wears the really small mask and she's just like, how? Why are you dressed up like that? Like, she can immediately tell who it is right off the bat, which is something that for some reason no other damsel in distress has really been able to do in a superhero movie. Looking at you, Lois Lane. Come on, the dude doesn't even wear a mask. But she actually was relatively competent. She's in a position of significant power within her company of Ferris aircraft. So having her not just be another girl, but actually have one that's doing well for herself without the assistance of Hal Jordan was kind of nice. Hey, it was a little bit annoying, however, them beating the Sapphire references over the head with her character throughout the movie as if they were expecting to make sequels. At number 3, we have the planet Oa, the homeworld of the Green Lanterns. So essentially, if the Green Lanterns are intergalactic space cops, Oa more or less is the police headquarters, like the GCPD type of thing, where everyone just kind of comes together of different species. It's their safe spot. I really like how it was represented, seeing the different cultures. As bad as some of the CGI for those different creatures was, I liked seeing Oa and how they represented it. It was kind of cool, the aesthetics that they went with. As a whole, the CGI in this movie is just atrocious, but some of the stuff that they used for Oa was really cool, and I wanted to spend more time on Oa. In a movie that was very by the numbers and just generic, Oa I thought was a break from that and truly was something different and unique, which was nice. At number 2, we have the main character himself, Ryan Reynolds' portrayal as Hal Jordan. Now, he's gone on record to basically bash this movie, and I don't blame him. This movie's really not that good, but he's gone on saying how much he did not enjoy it. It was not a fun experience making this movie, which is a shame because of all the negatives in this movie. He's not one of them. He's a really good Hal Jordan. Granted, he did really find his calling playing Deadpool. That suits him better. However, he is really good as Hal Jordan. I got invested in him pretty quickly because he was charismatic. He embodied all the traits that I know of Hal Jordan, of cocky and arrogant, but that's more to cover up his insecurities and his fear that he has. But at the end of the day, he will always overcome that because he's a lantern. He is the Green Lantern, and he's just charismatic and fun. You get behind him, and that could just be more of Ryan Reynolds' natural likability coming through in the film, but I really got behind him a lot in a movie that was just and had so many issues, and he clearly had issues with the film itself. He still brought his A game and was still a likable overall character, and I feel bad that he was stuck in such a bad movie and still to this day continues to bash it in Deadpool and stuff, but he was good in it, so hats off to you, Ryan. And the best thing in the Green Lantern movie, I thought, in my mind, was Sinestro. Mark Strong played more or less the Sinestro character, who in this version is still a Green Lantern. So in the comics, Sinestro is formerly a Green Lantern who discovers the yellow power ring of fear and switches over to the Yellow Lantern Corps. There's a whole bunch of different Lantern Corps, but he switches over to the Yellow Lantern Corps and then more or less becomes the biggest enemy to Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. And I really liked Mark Strong's performance in this movie. It was really, really solid. Like, I wanted more scenes with Sinestro. Granted, at the end of the movie, they do this end credits scene where he dons the yellow ring and becomes Yellow Sinestro. And that makes no sense whatsoever, because it's just like, the threat's been neutralized. There is no problems anymore. Why you... Oh, you're just blatantly setting up a sequel that's never going to happen. But the scenes that we did get in the actual movie itself, I really liked him because he's got this disdain for Hal, but that's justified. And he clearly cares about his Lantern brethren more so than any other character in the movie. Yes, he was a bit of a jerk at times and that was overkill, but you understood why he was a jerk. Plus, his design looked perfectly like Sinestro. Like, he was a living embodiment of the comic book character that I know, and it was nice to see a basically direct adaptation of the character on the big screen. What would you guys think? Do you think there's anything redeemable about the Green Lantern movie? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen and want to see more, subscribe to the channel, or find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Uncharted Media. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals!